Hi guys, we're gonna be talking about UFC 314. What a beautiful event that was. We had a couple of nice fights. Volkanovski won the championship back. We had Paddy the Baddy Pimblett facing Michael Chandler, actually beating him, finishing him by ground and pound. We had Dominic Reyes actually getting third win in a row. What a year for Dominic Reyes this is. And then we had Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, who I was most invested in the fight.
Yeah.
And I was actually rooting for Bryce Mitchell to win the fight, but
I was actually rooting for him to win as well.
Yeah, exactly. The powerful press conference, I think he was kind of like carrying. All the Gene Silva was actually selling a lot too. But
Bryce was carrying, yeah.
Bryce was kind of like the quotes that he was quoting is just Bryce Mitchell is just one of the best on the mic.
Yeah.
He knows how to get the crowd invested in the fights. But unfortunately, it did not go well for Bryce Mitchell. And you saw the skill difference. Bryce Mitchell's stand-up is not even close to that level. Like anything Gene Silva was throwing, it looked very powerful. The technique looked right. Bryce Mitchell looked a bit sloppy on the feet. Wrestling-wise, obviously, Bryce Mitchell has very good wrestling, but even with that, Gene Silva, every time that Bryce Mitchell was going for the takedown, was threatening him with submissions, and eventually got a submission at the end. So, I mean, something to learn for Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell's a fighter at heart. He's going to be back. He's going to be stronger. And yeah, we'll see him. But yeah, let's start with Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes.
Yeah, I think Volk versus Diego was pretty good. What do you call it? I think Volk was he just had an edge. Or no, I don't think so. Just a little edge. I think it was massive edge because Diego was just trying to do boxing match with him, and Alex was just kicking his leg.
Yeah.
He wasn't checking things.
I don't think he was checking the kicks, but at the same time, I saw that like a speed difference as well. So in the start, when they were both standing in the pockets, so okay, I get it. Volk is more like an outside fighter, right?
Yeah.
If you watch his fights, like some of the fights against Max Holloway, what he was doing is like chopping the legs, and then just moving out of the way.
Yeah.
He just has a speed, man. Like some of the guys, they're just fast genetically.
Yeah.
Volk is one of those guys, very fast. But at the same time, even when they're training in the pocket, it looked like Volk even had like higher hand speed.
Yeah.
Like when they're throwing the hooks, Volk would just land first.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think he was just more slick with his striking. Like there was time where he was just dodging enough and countering to Diego.
Yeah.
And those shots were hurting Diego.
And one thing I really like is Volk, he was actually mixing it up.
Yeah,
like guys,
was,
Volk is not like he's like a national level Australian wrestler, but even that he did for like a while, right? Australia does not even have like wrestling on high level. You wouldn't see Australian wrestlers actually making it to Olympics or anywhere.
Yeah.
So if Volk is actually competing in like an NCAA championship or something, he would not do well. And that's not a jab at Volkanovski. He just doesn't have like that sort of like strong background. But I loved it that he was taking his chances, and it looked like he's actually improved his wrestling.
Yeah.
Like throughout the years, it looked like he's adding more. Like he's one of the best fighters already, but he's adding more to his arsenal. And he was shooting for the takedowns, and the reason he was shooting for the takedowns is because that will threat the person for like it causes a striking threat after that. So you will see he like constantly had like going up and down sort of stance, right? He would come in the pocket, he would throw a lot of shots, and sometimes after that, he would just go for the takedown. And the way he's going for the takedown, it looks so beautiful, like so natural. Like I think he naturally has that wrestling in him. And shooting the takedowns against a guy who's actually like a high-level Brazilian black jiu-jitsu guy, like Diego Lopes. It would have been dangerous, but Volk knew that he was training with Craig Jones, who's like the second best self-proclaimed second best jiu-jitsu guys in the world.
Yeah.
What are the fighters? So he knew he could be safe against that guy, and especially the fight against Islam Makhachev. I think that gave him a lot of confidence that if I could be safe against Islam Makhachev, not get submitted by like one of the best artists, then I could hang with that Diego Lopes too.
Diego Lopes, yeah.
And one thing I want to say, it's not a criticism of Diego Lopes, but at the same time, dude, your Brazilian jiu-jitsu is that good. Why don't you have wrestling in your arsenal?
Yeah.
I think it's just he never actually shot for it. It didn't look like Diego was actually trying to take. He was trying to bang a lot. I respect his chin. He took all the shots to the face.
Yep.
And for some reason, he was able to just walk forward. And even at the end, bro, I love the warrior spirit of Diego Lopes. He's got a lion heart. He was walking down Volkanovski at the end. It's just a power that he possesses. It's just a chin that he has very strong. He dropped Volkanovski as well.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think he needs to work on his wrestling. I think that's what Brian Ortega was lacking. When Brian was fighting guys like, let's say, Volkanovski or like, let's say, Max Holloway. If Brian Ortega had wrestling in his arsenal, I think he could have been a champion.
Yeah.
Because he was really good at like, his jiu-jitsu was just amazing. His striking was pretty decent as well. So Diego Lopes, he needs to get wrestling on his arsenal.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
And then I actually want to talk about like who should be getting the next title shot now.
I think Mofsar has to be next.
It has to. He's on a 9-fight win streak. And you know how everybody dismisses him?
Yep.
Dude, I cannot believe this. Like, you watch all the ESPN media, they don't even name him.
It's
Like,
crazy.
when
Yeah.
it is crazy when they're talking about the guy, they're talking about Larry Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay, Larry Murphy, guy from UK, we live in UK. Larry Murphy will love you. I love his fighting style as well. I think he's an amazing fighter. But dude, you're not on a 9-fight winning streak. You're not. He's not putting on like dominant performances
Yeah.
like most I've loved.
I like the
There's
fact
so many-
the post fight interview, Volk actually called out Mofsar. He said like he wants to take his 0,
Yeah.
which is
I don't know why they put Mosar against somebody else at that point. And by the way, the guy that they put him against, people are saying that it is he's a very competitive guy. Like, he's making that guy just made his move to the UFC, and I think many people are not aware of it. So it's like rolling a big dice because that guy could actually be very dangerous. At the same time, people are just naming guys like they're even naming guys like Yair Rodriguez. I know Yair had a. By the way, did you watch the Yair versus Pitbull?
no. I
Okay,
didn't watch
yeah.
it.
So Yair actually had a very good performance against Pitbull.
Uh-huh.
Does that put him in a title shot? Don't know why that puts him in a title shot.
shouldn't.
Volkanovski has already beaten Yair. Yair was not winning even like after Volkanovski. How many wins does this guy have? He lost. I'm pretty sure he lost to somebody else even after Volkanovski.
Yeah, I think he lost one more.
He lost. I believe he lost one more after that. Yeah, but he.
I think you know what they should do. They should make Diego versus Yair Rodriguez. That's gonna be a good fight, and they should make Mofsar versus Volk.
That's what I'm thinking. They got a storyline. They already have a storyline.
Yeah.
So Yair fights Diego Lopes. That's gonna sell a lot of fights because you can clearly see those guys hate each other.
Yeah.
And I think statistically, it's gonna be a very good fight.
Yeah.
Because most probably the fight is gonna be on the feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Yair is definitely not taking Diego Lopes down. He does not have wrestling. He does not even have the level of jiu-jitsu on like Diego Lopes. And then is Diego gonna have like enough wrestling to actually take Yair down? If he does not, then you have like a stand-up fight, and those guys Diego likes to bang a lot,
Yep.
right? But Yair, he has got kicks in his arsenal,
Yeah.
and those kicks are something that Diego Lopes has probably never seen in his life. Yair has like one of the best technical sort of flashy,
Kicks, yeah.
like all different sort of stuff. So I'll be really interested in seeing that matchup. And then you have Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Any opinions on that?
I think Paddy actually did well. I was surprised by his performance. I thought Chandler might win because of experience,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people actually, how do you say, didn't. How do you say that? A lot of people didn't think that Paddy would perform like that,
Yeah.
and I was one of them. But yeah, he actually did well. On stand up and on the ground as well. On the ground, he was just controlling Michael Chandler.
I'm so happy to see the growth in Paddy Pimblett's game.
Yeah.
Because when Paddy Pimblett actually started, he was just like a guy who would keep his chin in the air, who would like
Yeah,
to bang,
literally, yeah.
and then he would do something crazy with like the jiu-jitsu. Now you see how methodical he has gone with his approach, right?
Yeah.
So after like the Jordan Levitt fight, people were criticizing him a lot because he was just getting hit a lot.
Yeah.
And it's debatable, but many people actually thought that he lost that fight. But obviously, he was UFC's golden boy. UFC saw the money in him, so they were trying to push him during that time. But you could see how much he has grown, like against Michael Chandler,
Yeah.
and even the last like few performances. You could see he's so methodical in his approach now.
Yeah.
His striking is much better. Even the way he's throwing kicks, it looks like he's much more protective. And then at the same time, he's wrestling. Dude, like, okay, Michael Chandler did take him down, but Paddy, he's improved his wrestling.
Yeah,
The last the takedown that he did in the third round, it was kind of like he slammed him. And we saw that against Tony Ferguson as well, like he was able to take him down. So like every single match after Jordan Levitt, it looks like he's just made massive improvements in every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And even with jiu-jitsu, I would say his control has gone much better. Like previously, he was more like a just get a submission sort of that guy, but now he's doing a lot of positional jiu-jitsu as
He's
well.
doing ground and pound mixing up.
Ground and pound and
with
mixing it
the
up, yeah,
submission
and much
threats.
better. You saw the difference when Chandler has the chance to do ground and pound when he goes on the top.
Yep.
Petty was able to stay secure, and Chandler didn't do much ground and pound, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But when Patty actually got the position, he was able to do much more damage. Actually, finish Chandler with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So you saw how much he's improved. So I definitely, they could make if they're trying to find the fighter for Ilya Topuria.
Yeah.
That's actually a fight.
Oh yeah, Ilya versus Paddy is
Ilya versus Patty, and make it like a number one contender fight, I would say.
Oh no, I don't think Paddy the Paddy is ready for that. I think he needs one more fight before.
So like, if he's fighting Ilya for the number one contender fight,
Yeah.
you mean he would need another fight after that?
Yeah, I feel like yeah.
I think beating a guy like Ilya Topuria, that would actually put him over there because Ilya's like a complete fighter.
But he's
and
not
then
beating Ilya right now.
you don't think he's beating Ilya right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so either, but
That's why I want to see him versus Dustin or Justin. I think that's a good call out.
you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, like especially Dustin has a black belt, and what you call it, he can do good stand up fight as well. So we'll see how Paddy perform against him. But Dustin just wants like a last fight.
Dustin just wants like a last fight.
Yeah, and I don't think so. He do like Paddy the Baddy as a last fight.
Yeah, I mean, that would sell a lot, but at the same time, I think Dustin wants like a respectable guy who's already like a name in the business, right?
Yeah.
So he might just go with like Max.
Yeah, exactly.
That would make a lot of sense for him. So maybe Dustin might not do it, but Justin Gaethje like would be a good fight, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, Justin has won how many of his previous fights?
He's only won one last
He's
fight
only
against
won one.
Fiziev. He lost the one before that against Max Holloway. He got knocked out in that one. But Justin is a legit guy. Man, like, to be honest, if you're talking about like the lightweights, right?
Yeah.
Like even Luke Thomas was talking about like if you're looking at like Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and like all the top level lightweights, that's Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. Those guys do not let any talent break down into like the top 5.
Yeah.
And it's not like they've been protected because they would fight all the guys.
Yeah.
So like if you look at the record of Dustin Poirier, he has not lost to any dude. Like people try to devalue him sometimes, right?
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, does not like Islam." Was sometimes like he's not. Who gave him the black belt or something like this? He's saying that as a joke. But if you look at Dustin Poirier, the only guys he's lost to is Khabib, Charles Oliveira. This guy has not lost to anyone else.
Yeah.
He's not lost to anyone else. When they're on like, I would say people think they're on a demise. So like, let's say Dustin Poirier lost to like Khabib. They gave him like a contender, the new contender, fresh blood. The guy was on a roll, and they were like, okay, we're gonna try him against this guy. Dustin Poirier put on like 2 best performances, and he got back up again, right?
Yeah.
He had like a nice fight with Dan Hooker, actually, very top level guy. Like Dan Hooker was doing pretty good. He won that fight, very close fight. Then he had like beat Paul Felder or something, and then after that he lost to Islam Makhachev. You're like, okay, we're gonna give him Benny Sanders, right?
Yeah.
And during that time, he was known to be like one of the guys who was gonna break into like the top 5.
Yeah.
Very strong guy who was on like a 4-fight winning streak or something like this. So everybody thought maybe like Dustin Poirier is gonna go downhill from now. But Dustin Poirier just beat him. Like,
Yeah, a lot of
it
people
just didn't.
can,
A lot of
apart
people
from Islam and
again the same 3 guys. He's only lost to Khabib, Islam, and Charles
Memphis.
Oliveira.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like those 3 top level guys.
Yeah.
He's not lost to anyone. Anytime you try to bring up a guy, okay, you're like Fiziev. Okay, maybe that is a guy. Beautiful flashy striking. And then he wins that fight. Anytime you bring someone else from like, let's say top 10, like the lower part of top 10 or something, you're going to be like, okay, this is the next big guy we're actually bringing against them. They just, they get demolished against those guys.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good as well. I didn't want to see Armin fight as well.
I think Armin is actually the guy.
I think he should be next in line for title shot. I think Ilya should wait. Or they can make Ilya versus Armin for the title fight.
Yeah, because Armin actually...
But I have a feeling Islam is just waiting.
Islam just waiting for like Bilal to lose. I'm just waiting for Bilal. Bilal actually loses, Islam actually moves up. That opens the clears the path. Let's go to Dominic Reyes actually. What a performance by Dominic Reyes. 3 wins now. They're pulling up the quote from like his graduation year or something like this, where he's saying like, I'm probably gonna mess it up, but he's saying something like this. It's not about like going down. It's about getting up from like a great fall. That is the big achievement. That is the biggest success. And then this such a powerful quote that he had during that time, and this is what we're seeing. Like this guy was on a roll until he fought John Jones, and he won that fight. According to the majority of the fans, he won that fight, but it was a robbery. The judges went against him. And then I think that was probably like a demise in his morale. I think he just went downhill from there. He was on like a losing fight streak. Lost to Blachowicz, lost to Jiri, lost to Ryan Spann. But then after that, he's making a comeback now. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, and he's getting all the finishes now. He's finishing those guys. And to be honest, if he gets like 1 or 2 wins, he'll be in the contender picture, because light heavyweight does not have like big top stars. They're already running out of competition. The same guys just fighting each other. Yeah, like you have Roundtree, and there's Jamal, and then Ijiri, and then Alex Pereira. How many times are they gonna fight? Like Alex Pereira fought Ijiri like 2 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you need like fresh blood. Okay, so now you have Magomed Ankalaev, so probably he's gonna have some competition because he hasn't beaten some of the guys. But at the same time, Dominic Reyes can break in, and I think it will be a very tough matchup for Magomed and Kaliv, because with the things that Magomed was able to do against Alex Pereira, like takedowns and stuff, right?
Yep.
Or like at least threatening with the takedowns, it's not gonna work that well against Dominic Reyes, who is so good at defending the takedowns that Weidman could not take him down. John Jones could not take him down. So I think that will be a problem.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Alright, guys.
Yep.
That's fun.
Yep.